It's a story of life, its challenges, and the determination to triumph in the face of adversity. Life doesn't have to end here. The personal stories of individuals coping and living with a disability. Tonight at 7:30 p.m.
I'm Kern Tyson, broadcaster and sports analyst at Isaac 98.1 FM. I was born in Vestiny Village, Library in 1978. I still call Vestiny my home, although I live now in the east after getting married and so on. But Library is always considered, I have a soft spot there. That's considered home. At the age of 3, my mother took me to the Montreal Children's Hospital because she realized that I was visually impaired, but did not know the reason for it. Some doctors told I was brain damage, others told I had glaucoma, some told I nothing was wrong, but something was wrong. So when I went to the Children's Hospital, they confirmed that I had keratoconus, which is a condition of the eye which affects the cornea of the eye, and then she realized it was confirmed to her that I was blind, and she decided to, because she was a teacher, that I will have a very good education and I would live a normal life, or at least an above normal life. She said normal, but I guess she pushed for above normal. I was enrolled in the School for Blind in 1983, spent 5 years there, learned Braille and other skills that I would need as a visually impaired person. Then I went on to primary school. I went to Santa Cruz RC, did common entrance in 1992, went to Sawa Secondary for a year, and then my mother decided, look, it's time to go back down south, let's go back home, which was a joyous time for me. And 1993-94, I went to Vestiny Secondary School, and in 1997 I graduated with a full certificate, 3 1s and 4 2s. I was the valedictorian and also voted most all-around male student. That was nice. Went on to do A-levels after that, up to 1999. I excelled there in drama and music. And then I went into broadcasting. I went to the Announcers Training Center for 3 months, did my broadcasting course there. And in 2002, I began to work at Isaac 98.1 FM, and I've been here since, and loving it. Radio is like living a dream. In fact, it is living a dream. And in the last 9 years, I've done a couple of shows. Saturday Shakedown, which I did for 9 years. I stopped a couple months ago. I do the afternoon evening drive. I've been doing that for the last 7 years. And I've been doing sports writing and sports analysis for the last 6 years. And I've traveled to New Zealand and England and throughout the Caribbean covering sports for Isaac 98.1 FM. Being visually impaired and growing up was a challenge, but it was always fun. It was also fun. My peers at school, you would get children teasing you, blindy, blindy. But other than that, children are children, and they would eventually warm to me, and I was always a part of the crew, a part of what was going on in school, one of the popular ones. Secondary school was a dream because I realized the way you would gain more friends as a blind person is to make fun of your blindness, to really prove to them that you're quote-unquote normal. So I had a whole host of friends at Vestiny Secondary, and I actually made a lot of fun of my blindness. They made a lot of fun of it, and we just had, growing up was fun. You would have your low times where you would feel a bit depressed. You'd wonder sometimes why you're blind. You will tell a girl in school you like her, and she tell you she blank here, and you wonder if it's because you're blind. Those things, there are times I didn't do as well as I wanted to do at school, So those were the challenges. But generally, growing up was fun. I I enjoyed my being blind. I accepted it, I embraced it, and it was really excellent. My mother always taught me to speak, and we went to different doctors, and my mother would always tell me before, even at 7 or 8 years, when you go in, ask the doctor questions. Don't be afraid to open your mouth, speak. So even when we went to a doctor's office, I would always ask questions. Could you explain this for me? Even though I was a bit shy sometimes, but that helped me. So my mother never shut me up, and she always taught me to talk. Don't be afraid to express yourself. Don't be rude, but be frank. And that has helped me throughout my life, even when I was in primary school, and I felt sometimes maybe the ball didn't bounce the right way for me. I would challenge a teacher. If I felt that I was being hard done by, I'll ask a question or I'll say something. And my mother always encouraged me to do that. My father always pushed me to do that. My aunts and uncles always did that for me. So being able to achieve, and I tell you this, as a disabled person or a differently able, whatever you want to use, life is not easy. But your first step to really achieving your goal is to firstly believe in yourself. And then you have to take a chance. Life is about risks. And I'll encourage anybody who is disabled to take a risk, to be brave, to go out there. Don't just stay at home. And I might be deviating a little bit, but don't just stay in the corner, but begin to socialize, begin to mix with others, and that will kind of build your self-confidence.
Coming up next.
Sport goes beyond sight. Covering sports, understanding sports, it starts in your head. It starts with your imagination. I was 6 years old, Christmas time, and my uncle was listening to cricket in Australia. And I heard them saying good morning. It was like 8:39 in the night. I didn't get it, so I turned to him and said, why are they saying good morning? And he said he bumbled through something about his morning in Australia. How do you explain that to a 6-year-old anyway? And then I began to hear the West Indies cricketers, Vivian Richards, Gus Logie, Richie Richardson, Jeffrey Dujon, and I just was drawn to that. So the next night I listened to cricket again, and the night after that, and I was just hooked. It took about a couple of weeks, and I began talking about cricket and asking questions about where is gully, where is third man, where is mid wicket, where is long on, what's an over. And by 1985, I was gone. When New Zealand toured the West Indies, I listened to every bit of that, and it was like I dare say a drug. I just got caught up in it. And then I began to listen to football and tennis and basketball. My mother was a netballer, so I was always on the netball court. And sports just became a part of me, and I just don't know how to shake it, and I don't want to shake it now. It just grew, and even up to this day, I'm still learning new sports like rugby and other things like that. But I can't imagine my life without sport. The main challenge is not being able to see. But besides that, there isn't much else to be challenged by. Sport goes beyond sight. Covering sports, understanding sports, it starts in your head. It starts with your imagination. You would also need to understand the game. So you're listening to radio and you hear that Darren Bravo is fielding at cover. You have to have an idea where cover is. Cover is, kind of square of the wicket, that kind of thing. So you have to know. So my strength is having a knowledge of the game, having a knowledge of cricket, a knowledge of football. Where is the left wing? Where is the right back? Where is the penalty area? What does 40-15 mean in tennis? So you need to have a knowledge. You need to have imagination, as I said before, and have a good memory, because sports has to do with a lot of memory. What happened in 1988 and what's happening now, and being able to relate it and to compare and to contrast. And that's my strength. That is what I do best. So not being able to see it is a challenge. But I use that to really push me on, especially with football, because I think in order for you to analyze football properly, deep down in my heart of hearts, you need to see it. But I break the rules because I don't see it, but yet still I understand it. And I have a more than average understanding of it. Even people who could see the game, and I argue with people who can see and who understand the game. We argue down the line. So as I said before, it goes beyond sight. I started to travel in 2008. I got fed up of just covering sports in Trinidad and Tobago. And I told my wife around the 31st of August, say, wife, I need to do something really, really big. And I realized that the West Indies was going off to New Zealand for a 2-test series in December. And when I heard it, I told my wife, I am going. She said, no, we are going. So we began to plan and to raise the funds from the 1st of September. She had a long talk with me. She said, Kern, are you really going? Do you really know what it takes to go to New Zealand? Yes, I know. And we began to work it out. When I got there in New Zealand, apparently my reputation preceded me, because somebody told somebody about a blind guy coming to cover sports in New Zealand. And the journalists flocked around and they wanted interviews. And how are you doing this? And what drives you? And all the questions you're asking, New Zealand was a fascinating and awesome experience. I had interviews with Sky Sports, Radio Sport, Radio ZB, Otago Daily Times, New Zealand Herald, Hawke's Bay Today. It was just, I was walking through New Zealand a day in Napier, New Zealand, and somebody stopped and said, I saw you in the paper, good on you, man. And I went to the mall and people saw me in the mall in Dunedin and stopped to speak to me. And it was really a kind of you felt as if you were like a celebrity. The lights were on. And more than that, I was able to cover my first international tour and earn my spurs. And I'll never forget New Zealand, the simplicity of the Kiwi people, the joy of being on the field and speaking to Brendan Nash and talking to Chris Gale and hanging out with Tony Cozier and Brian Waddle and just being around the umpires and everything. I just felt like a brand new baby. After that, I went to England and I covered the test series there. West Indies lost that series. It was cold, but again, it was a rewarding experience. They were not as warm as the Kiwis, but again, I was able to experience different conditions, sitting in the same commentary area or media area with Ian Bishop and Colin Croft and Jonathan Agnew and Simon Mann and David Lloyd, Mike Atherton, Nasser Hussain. So that was an awesome experience. Last year I covered the T20 tournament, the World T20 tournament in Guyana, Barbados and St. Lucia. And that was just, again, another experience for me. I've been throughout the Caribbean and I just continue to enjoy what I do. I've been interviewed by the Line and Length Network. I was on Andrew Mason's program in Barbados last year. And every trip I make, I give God thanks and praise because I learn something new and I become a sharper journalist. I become better at my craft. So it's all about learning for me. And I'm just enjoying meeting the people at the ground and going through the different, understanding the different cultures. It's really been beautiful. I have my eyes on the prize. And that is to be a world-renowned sports writer, sports journalist, whatever you want to say it. So I'm as constant as the Northern Star. That's my goal. And every morning I get up, I talk about it with my wife. Sports on TV, I'll say, girl, if I had my sports station, I'll be doing so. If I had so, I'll be doing that. baby, one day I'll be on Fox, I'll be on ESPN. Look at them on the TV there. I'll be there one day. She said, yeah, you'll be there. I know you'll be there. And one day she said, you can never do that. And we laugh about it because she's my harshest critic, so she has fun with me. You could do that. You can't do that. But that just it just keeps me alive. That goal and that desire to be at the top of my game. I mean, there are times I'm home. I tell you this. And I'm at my office and I'm sitting down thinking about where I want to be with sports, and I just begin to get like that, just kind of itchy, ready to conquer, ready to go on. I mean, it consumes me. In addition to that, I like motivating people. I like talking about life and telling people how they can achieve their goals and don't be afraid to try new things. So all of that, I guess in a nutshell, motivates me to go on. So even if I have, or even when I have bad days and real low ones, because there are times I have some low ones where I just don't feel up to scratch, I'm reminded of what I'm supposed to do in life. And that always gives me the impetus to go on.
Coming up next.
My goal in life is to achieve purpose and to do His will. And if that happens, being blind, I'm cool with that. At the end of the day, when I leave this earth, I want to know for sure that I did His will and I achieved, what I was supposed to achieve. In 1990, I became a Christian. I was in church a Sunday morning, and I remember my pastor, Pastor Ricardo Joseph, talking about Jesus coming, and are you sure you'll be ready for His coming? And I felt the call of God in my life. I can't explain it any other way. I felt God really pulling at my heartstrings and saying, listen, you need to commit your life to me. And that happened on the 11th of March 1990, and my life hasn't been the same since. I've been a believer for 21 years, and my faith in Christ, my belief and in a God who is able to do exceeding abundantly above all I can ask or think, a God who forgives, a God who wants to have a relationship with man, and not just a passing relationship, a passing hello hi, but wants to fellowship with man. I've come into contact with that God, and He continues to strengthen me, to help me, to give me vision, because you don't need eyes to have vision, to see beyond my present situation, to see beyond my challenges. So I can't imagine my life without Jesus and without that personal relationship. My life will certainly not be the same. It will be so much emptier. People always ask me, you don't believe that God can heal you? I said, I believe He can. Do you pray for healing? I said, not much. It's not really high on my to-do list. I know God works miracles, and He can do it anytime He wants to do it. But my goal in life is to achieve purpose and to do His will. And if that happens, being blind, I'm cool with that. At the end of the day, when I leave this earth, I want to know for sure that I did His will and I achieved, what I was supposed to achieve. So being visually impaired or being able to see, of course I'd like to see one day. And if I get back my eyesight now, or if I get it, I never had it, if I get it, I'll be happy. But I'll be happier with achieving my purpose and reaching my goals. For many years of my life, I was not around the visually impaired community. I would pass through, but I was always, I guess, caught up in my own life. Is that being selfish? I just caught up in what I'm doing. I just do what I have to do. But God has a way of stopping you in your tracks and changing the course of your life a bit. So last year when I heard the job was open, someone told me, could apply now, please. My wife said, Kern, please apply. And I was like, what about, maybe not. I eventually did. And I became the executive director of PAVI, Persons Associated with Visual Impairment. I became the executive director the 18th of October 2010. That was last year. It was a bit of surprise for me because I never really expected. I was never really expected to work in an organization of and for the blind. I always saw myself doing other things. It has been a real learning curve for the last year. I've learned so much about myself. Learned that I'm not as good as I thought when it comes to managers. I'm a manager in the sense that I have so much to learn. And life is about learning. So every day at Pavi is a new experience for me. How do I, manage my office? How do I deal with conflict? How do I motivate my staff, even if I'm not motivated? How do I be an example to them? I've learned a lot about vision and, pardon the pun, but taking an organization to the other level. So it's a case of iron sharpening iron and Pavi bringing out the best in me. And it has really been a rewarding experience for me. Kern Tyson is a man who loves life, loves people. I come across very independent and assured, but there's a part of me that sometimes is very vulnerable and very soft. So under the veneer of a rampaging lion, I'm actually sometimes a little teddy. So I love life, I love people, I love the simple things in life, the silly things in life, like too good to be true romantic stories. Those Lifetime chick flicks. I like those things, the simple things like smelling the flowers, feeling the sunshine, sitting down outside with my wife under the full moon. As I said before, too good to be true stories, Santa Claus, fairy tales. I grew up on that. And I just think we live in a wonderful world. Yeah, we have challenges, but love conquers all, and stories will have happy endings. I'm sure it sounds silly, but that's just where I am. Very simple. It's good to look back and see where God has brought you from. I could look back 9 years ago and say, Kern, you're not in the same place. You're in a better place. So I try not to live with regrets. I didn't do A levels as well as I should have. I should have been further along. But I look back at my life and say, Kern, you'll continue to improve every year. So there's a measure of satisfaction and contentment there. I am humbled by the doors that God has opened up for me. I didn't mention something earlier this year. I got a call from my friends in New Zealand, and I was able to cover the World Cup for them, the Cricket World Cup. Here, they called me every day. Rima Gospel Station in New Zealand called me, and I did reports for them for the World Cup, 1-minute reports. So that caused me to be really humble, because I said, God, you could choose anybody else to do this, but you chose, a little blind guy from Labrie, from Vestany. Why? So I am humbled by that. The places I get to go, the people I meet, the things I achieve, or have achieved. I am humbled. But there's also an innate desire to do more, and a thirst, an insatiable thirst to conquer, and to not just fly, but to soar, and to go where the air is rare. So all of that wrapped up together in a big ball. I am humbled. I am satisfied. I have a level of contentment. I am grateful. And there's also a desire to push on and do even better. Where there is darkness, you light my path, oh Lord. And where there's sadness, you make me glad, oh Lord. 'Cause you descend upon me like a dove, and you cover me with your love, and I say, Father, Father, I thank you, yea, I Thank you for your love.